This KFAN podcast is sponsored by Builders and Remodelers, exclusive Twin Cities provider of Elements Windows. Get the highest quality windows at unmatchable value. Visit buildersandremodelers.com for more details.
Coach Polasek, it's Paul Allen at KFAN. How are you?
Good, man. Fire up. How are you guys doing?
Pretty well, thank you. This is North Dakota State University football coach Tim Polasek. Became the 32nd coach in school history into last season, and holy cow, went out and won the FCS title, beating previously unbeaten and top-ranked Montana State. And it's a pleasure to meet you. How are things going for the football team with the spring program?
Well, it's going well. Obviously we've kicked off our high school recruiting. We're trying to do everything we can to be a program that continues to develop and teach, high school players. And it's going to be an interesting year with our, scholarship numbers and those kind of things. But it's funny I bring up recruiting because last week I was doing a presentation, and as a program we have a chance to win our 800th game next year. And so that's exciting, and we're moving forward. We're in practice 4, and obviously we've been in pads, it was pretty physical on Friday, so everything's ramping up pretty good.
That's cool. April 9th, the title-winning team visits Washington, D.C. What happens when you get there?
Well, it's interesting because, I guess the last time we were there was a little bit of some impromptu activities. We'll land, we'll do some sightseeing, and then they'll have a scheduled time for us to be at the White House to meet everybody, obviously take some pictures and those things. I'm really excited. I've never been to D.C. at all, and so I'm excited for the whole thing as far as the history and the area and the monuments. Not quite sure. I haven't received an itinerary yet, except for when we're flying and when we get back.
Do you happen to know if you guys get a chance to meet the president?
Well, we did last time.
Right.
So I think that's everybody's anticipation. Just like I said, I haven't seen a specific itinerary, and I also, know he's busy and everybody's busy over there. So we're just appreciative of getting the opportunity to have boots on the ground and to be part of it.
No doubt. Speaking of boots on the ground, I mean, you've had them. Coach Polasek has worked with every offensive position group during his career, which I think is super impressive. So, like, of all the position groups with which you've worked, now you're a head coach now, but as the offensive position groups would go, Tim, which most typifies your personality?
Oh, that's a great question. Probably offensive line or our tight ends and fullbacks. Mm-hmm. I would say, just the physical nature of the game. I've always really appreciated that part. And then, those guys have to have a certain workman, servant type attitude, for the betterment of the team. And then on top of that, they get to impose their will, from play to play. So it's probably those guys. We're pretty intense in our teaching and coaching with those groups.
Now, how much of a grind, and this is sadly, or it's just part of reality. Whenever I have the opportunity to chat with college coaches, the transfer portal has to come up because, like, how much of a grind can the transfer portal be on you and your staff? Not just now, like even during the season.
Yeah, it's interesting. Obviously, you have some real good experience with it, as far as just learning about it and learning from it. It's funny with Craig Bowl out at Wyoming, here, at the University of Iowa. I haven't heard, a kid ever say, Coach, you guys are coaching me too hard. This is too tough. I want to leave. Typically it's to get back closer to home. Obviously now, for sure, money has become part of it, with people and potential tampering or opportunities that are out there through agents and so forth. My comment would be, January and December used to be my favorite times to go out and recruit, right? Because you just start cultivating a list, building a board. Well, now you have another percentage of your mental capacity going to anxiety, worrying about who may leave, who's going to stay, what does the team look like. It's just much harder to build a roster out because of the unknowns of who potentially could leave in the portal. And that goes all the way down to the walk-ons. How many walk-ons can you recruit year to year? How many scholarships do you have available for linebacker, DN? So you got to keep your knees bent. You got to rise to the challenge, that's for sure. And then it's a little bit interesting to me in the spring, when we have 2 windows still, because same thing happens again. Like, you're going out to spring recruit, meet with some kids, some families now, see them compete in track and baseball. And then all of a sudden again, the anxiety gets raised because just every time your phone rings and it's a player on the team, you kind of like, all right, here we go. And we've been real fortunate. We've lost only a couple in the 18 months that I've been here, scholarship guys that we're going to have a big role.
Yeah.
And so we're very fortunate to have a really strong culture and locker room right now. But I'm anticipating at some point, a few guys, whether it's this year or next year or the following year, we'll move on, and you got to have a plan, and you got to act really quick, and everybody on campus has got to be supportive of understanding this isn't high school recruiting. You're bringing guys on campus that you don't know a whole hell of a lot about. In the research that you can do and the relationship that you can build in a 10-day window is just not enough time.
Right. And that was an awesome answer, and I thank you for it. Because the reason what triggered the question is wondering if FCS schools especially always have to deal with, okay, you find gems and then you potentially lose them to FBS schools with fat stacks of NIL cash. For whatever the reason, they didn't want them in the first place or look the other way. You brought them in, you raise them, they get good, and then now all of a sudden visions of grandeur of what they can get somewhere else, right?
Yeah, I actually appreciate that question because it gives me an opportunity to sell our program. The unfortunate part about teaching football and developing young men, right, it takes time. It takes a lot of, want to. It takes a young man understanding things aren't going to be perfect, but, man, everything we want is on the other side of hard. And so you work with a guy 3 years, 4 years, and all of a sudden he becomes a player. He develops in the weight room. His body changes. That was probably the biggest reason why the Power Fours didn't recruit him. He wasn't physically ready. And then, all of a sudden that has a chance to go away, where in my mind, that should be the time we should be enjoying each other.
Right.
The relationship should be really growing. A guy could become a guy that's on the leadership council. He's a guy that now could be considered for captain. And then what I do want to comment on this. I just think everybody needs to be aware of this. When you stick it out at a place, when you're 45 years old like me, and you have a death in the family or something tragic happens, who are you going to lean back on if you were a guy that bounced around? And so we're so relationship-based here. We're so culture and player-driven that I just hope that we can keep the locker room tight as we can. And if we're together tough, we'll always have a shot to win.
Wow.
Thank you, Fargo.
That was awesome. Offensive lineman Grey Zabel. He turned 23 yesterday. You just had him for a year, won a title with him. With Grey, what stands out with him?
Honestly, I recruited him when I was at Iowa, and he tells the story. He tells it pretty good. He just was a baseball player. He's a little bit underdeveloped. For him, like so many of our other guys, it's all about staying the course and the development and getting bigger and stronger. The thing that really stands out about him as a football player is his approach, his football IQ, his physical toughness, and then his natural movement skills. This is a guy, if he ends up being a Viking, you're going to like when he's pulling. He's an adjustable athlete. He does have position flexibility. He's played, all 5 spots for us over the course of his career. And he's embraced all this. I mean, he's a joy. His approach to the game is very similar to Tyler Linderbaum, who's with Baltimore. Just studies it hard. He cares about his teammates, and he will dig roots into the community that he gets drafted by, and it'll be important to him.
With Tim Polasek, coach of the champion North Dakota State University Bison, 9 to noon, with Grey Zabel, is there a particular spot that you would think on NFL offensive lines where he would best fit?
Well, yeah, I think it correlates to where they're talking about him getting drafted, right?
Yeah.
Like if he was only being talked about as a mid-major or mid-round guy, I think he would start outside. Okay, can he be a starter? Sometimes a 4th and 5th rounder don't get that great a shot to be a starter, but with him getting projected in the high, in the top 50 picks, I think it's inside. I think it's at one of the guard spots. He provides flexibility to go in at center, and he provides flexibility to get you out of trouble or get you out of a game outside. And so, it depends if people are projecting him as a starter. If it's as a starter, it'll probably happen at guard. I'm hoping like crazy somebody says, I want this guy to be our franchise center for 10, 12 years because I think he's going to be magnificent.
What's his temperament like?
Oh, that's good. He's competitive, and he's aware of situational football. He's aware of a poor start in practice, so he has a real knack, probably to have the same kind of pulse that a coach does. I think he's pretty even keeled. He's consistent in his aggressive approach. Within that, he's a real joy to be around. I don't know how best describe it, but he's kind of a guy's guy. Likes to compete, whether it's darts or, cards. I've been able to get to know him. We spent some time after the pro day together, and that was, really fun to be around a guy that graduated and to be able to spend some time with a real relationship. I really appreciate him. He's an easygoing guy that's always there for his teammates.
So Coach, lastly here, are you sensing myriad NFL teams are interested in selecting Grey Zabel somewhere in the first round?
It's starting to. It feels eerily like the Carson Wentz kind of transition. Not necessarily comparing pro career to anybody else, but Carson just kept getting more and more momentum and kept moving up the ranks. It's feeling like that because every time they interview him, I think he does such a great job with his personality and football IQ. So therefore, I'm starting to feel a genuine push that, hey, this guy's getting heavy consideration. Especially if they have a need for a starting O-lineman right now.
And you mentioned Carson Wentz and the quarterback spot. So what about your departing quarterback Cam Miller? Number one all time for passing yards and completions at North Dakota State University. Cam Miller, what sticks out with him?
I'd say two things: just consistent work habits. He was in here 3 days a week at about 6:30 in the morning. Studying it. So he's got the tradition here of a quarterback developing. Kind of goes back to Randy Hedberg and Carson Wentz and Brent Vegan. Those quarterbacks have always come in and worked really hard and put the extra time in. Cam's as good a consistent worker with preparation as I've been around, and then he's extremely accurate. Quick release, strong release. He's extremely accurate. Randy Hedberg would probably say he's the most accurate of the four quarterbacks that he's had. And you like his grit and competitive spirit. I think he has a way to will the team to stay on the field, whatever it kind of takes early in ball games. Keep us out there. The more we're out there, the better we'll be, and then he had a knack this year for the big play. So Cam carved himself out an unbelievable career after, going through a little bit of adversity because he didn't win it every year. And he really rose to the challenge this year. He was pretty darn good.
Lastly, and you mentioned Carson Wentz, and thank you very much for the time. Now, Tim, Coach Polasek was Carson's offensive coordinator for the Bison a decade ago. And what are some things with Carson you always will respect?
Oh, he don't waver. I mean, Carson, I've always said this, he's extremely competitive, and football means the world, but he never loses sight of the man he is. From a character standpoint, faith and family and being a father is up there. I mean, his foundation is unbelievable. His football IQ is, really good. I do think the next time he gets an opportunity to be a starter, I think he's really ready to push it through and to sustain. He's got a lot of football ahead of him, but just the man he is. I mean, he made me a better person every day because he challenged me. He challenged me to be a better person. That's the one thing I would say is Carson, as competitive as he is, he never lost track of his faith. He never lost track of being a family person first, and then just an unbelievable servant leader for his teammates.
Amen, my man. Congratulations on one season, one title. Best of luck with the guys this offseason, and I look forward to the next time we get a chance to chat, okay?
Yeah, I appreciate you guys. Go Bison.
Yep, see you, bud. That's Tim Polasek, coach of the NDSU Bison, champions from FCS.
Thank you, Fargo.
Mick Talkett next. It's Monday with Mick, which is a 9 to noon staple. We have Friday Night Lights, Saturdays are for the boys, Sunday Night Football, and Monday Mick. And here's what tripping over no tripping sounds like on the radio.
Well, Harrow will launch it in.
Go.
Mellis lost it. Here comes Chesley. He carries the center. He's tripped. How do you not call this? I know it's overtime, but for crying out loud, he's got the puck and he's tripped. Meanwhile, back comes Mass. They shoot. They score!
Wow. I mean, Wally, good morning.
Good morning.
Pat Micheletti.
Good to see you.
You too, at Pat Mick 2626. Follow him via the X Machine as 9 to noon does, if you are so inclined. So Wally is in the moment.
Yes.
He's apoplectic. But in hockey, it's everything's so fast. So there's not much time to become apoplectic because, oh, hey, here they come. Oh, hey, there we go.
Right.
Out of the tournament. I mean, that little, let's say 18 seconds of your life from the mistripping through the end of the season. Holy cow, Patrick.
And did you hear me before that? That was me yelling, go, go, go. Because Chesley had the puck and he had a beeline, free ice to carry the puck all the way down. Kind of caught UMass on a little change, and then he got tripped.
Wow.
And then he got tripped.
What do you say to those who don't think it was a trip? I've watched it 15 times. I don't really see any way you cannot think it's a trip.
Yeah, same here. And the beauty and the thing about it is that it happened in the neutral zone, and that's why it probably wasn't called, because it was, if it's inside the blue line maybe a little bit, or on either blue line, it's probably called. Maybe not with these two officials. And I really do, and I try as an analyst never to blame the referees, because it's a difficult job.
Yeah.
And you know what?
And you've known Andy Von Helleman a long time.
Correct. But it's really, the game is so fast and everything happens so quick, and they're going to miss calls. But that one was really blatant, really, really blatant, and ended up costing the game. But there was one before that.
Yeah.
On the second,
and there was a lot more.
Yeah.
And we're not going to do fan line.
No.
I'll bring up something in a moment about blowing a 2-goal lead. But let's be straight with each other.
I'll bring up something later about a nuclear third period. But anyway, I digress.
There are 7 things we could write down, but that was that's
the talker.
This is an age-old conversation, where it's like, stop them in the first quarter. Stop them in the second. Okay.
What about this play?
Cool.
What about that play?
You're right. Yeah. But, I mean, if you really rewatch the all 12, you could probably find some areas where the Gophers could have had a 3 or 4 goal lead and didn't.
100%.
But that was the last major thing that happened.
Right.
And it's the most polarizing of all the teams who started the NCAA tournament.
Right.
So, of course, it's the yay talker. Now, hold on here. The no call on the tripping. And we've known each other a long time. So I need you to be square with me from your heart.
Okay.
The no call on the tripping cost you money, didn't it? And here's what I'm talking about. Well, game pay.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, see? I ain't talking about betting on the game. Bruh, yeah. I mean, it cost you game pay. And here's why I thought of it. Because in 2003, here it is, the season's on the line, and the Cardinals beat the Vikings, knocked them out of the playoffs. I barely knew Coach Pete Bursich, linebackers coach at that stage. But, like, when I'm yelling, no, all right, he's right next to me with just a glass between us. And he looked at me because he could hear me yell no. And he wasn't mad at me, but he was infuriated with the way the game ended. Young Pete Bursich, early 2004 into the 2003 season. By losing that game on that famous last play, it cost Pete $20,000 as a playoff bonus. Okay, that's $20,000.
Yeah.
So there are those who wear the C and those who rely on C notes.
Correct.
Maybe all the guy had to do was call the trip and you get some more C notes.
That is very true.
Aren't you happy I brought that up?
3 more. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, it cost you money and you're like, what are you doing here?
Yeah.
I'm like, no, nothing with betting. It's game pay, man. You get paid I assume you get paid by the game.
Correct.
How about this, though?
That
is just
sucks.
a few short later, four short years later, Pete Bursich is in the booth next to you. So he knew what he was getting into, and he still did it. So how about that?
What's it like waking up Friday morning in Fargo, North Dakota, with no game to call the next day?
It's terrible.
Yeah.
And because your mindset is that
what do you got against Fargo?
Is there a pool at the hotel?
There was, okay. Yeah.
My friend Lindsay, elbows and thumbs, is up there. You probably needed to relax.
But your mindset is, okay, You got the day off Friday. You're going to go to practice, do the press conferences, all that.
Yeah.
Get prepared for the Saturday game.
Mm-hmm.
And
you looked past UMass, did you?
Yeah, I did. I did. I thought they were going.
And instead of flying back on the team charter, you're so sour.
I drove.
You run up a $1,700 or $2,700 Uber fee.
I did not get out of it because our game started an hour late because of the overtime.
Yeah.
And so I was going to drive back. I was like so energized. I was going to drive back. I didn't get back to the hotel till 1:30. You know,
you were going to drive back, then go back for Saturday.
No. After the
loss,
you
out of your mind.
But you know, you saw. I tell you, going in the locker room after the game and saying your goodbyes to the guys that you knew were adios the next day.
Yeah,
it was hard because you develop a relationship with them and a trust and. You know, a mentor type situation, and you know, you feel horrible for them and the staff and everybody that you're involved with
and then you get
season long.
Then you get to the airport for your charter home.
I drove.
Okay, well then the team gets to the airport for the charter home, and they see, well, what's that plane doing there with the Blackhawks logo?
Yeah, right.
Well, what's that plane doing there with a Blues logo or whatever?
Oh, there, and trust me, there were vultures there in the building.
Oh, there were?
Oh, scouts and GMs and the whole deal. Yeah, for sure.
How is Stan Mikita?
Stan Mikita passed away.
Okay. But how is Tony Esposito?
Tony passed away also.
May God rest the souls of both of them.
Yes, but Phil is still with us.
Yep.
And
how is Patrick Kane?
Patrick Kane had a good year, didn't
Excellent.
he?
Do we have Brett Hull?
Brett Hull's my age.
Okay.
Okay. Well, back to
he's healthy.
Back to the tripping bit. We'll just leave this here. So the team blew a 2-goal lead. Okay. Your alma mater blew a 2-goal lead.
If that you can label it that way.
They had a 2-goal lead.
Yes.
And they lost the 2-goal lead, which inherently means they blew it. So they did the same thing against Quinnipiac. Okay. Now that is part of the equation here, right?
I don't see it like that. You may.
Oh, I'm not criticizing. I'm layering.
You're layering. I don't think they changed the way they played at all. So from that perspective, no.
Okay.
But they fought back and tied it and got it to overtime.
Okay, now you
and they were in control of the game.
You nearly lost your mind Saturday on Beyond the Pond.
Yes.
When there were some suggesting...
I did, and I apologize.
No, don't, because you never gave an answer, and we're going to get it here.
Okay.
You nearly lost your mind on the hockey leader on Saturdays, on your audio leader, KFAN, Beyond the Pond, when some were suggesting Coach Bob Motzko be replaced.
Yes.
Okay, now you were impassioned, just like, no. I mean, ridiculous. Okay, cool, I agree. But why should he absolutely be the coach of the Gophers hockey team? Because, like, you were frustrated, but you never said why.
Why shouldn't he? Because he's one of the best recruiters in the game. Mm-hmm. His players love playing for him. Yep. He's got a wonderful offensive mind and recognizes that his assistants, associate head coaches in Paul Martin, Steve Miller, and Ben Gordon are masters at what they do. Mm-hmm. And so they've got a really good core group together.
Yeah.
And they're great to be around. And as I said, they're very, very good coaches.
So Nordo reported earlier, Grant Patolny is on campus. I was just like,
I always loved
wondering why he was there.
Did he fly in from Hartford?
I don't know.
He's doing very well there, and the New York Rangers are very happy with the job that he's doing.
Okay,
developing the young players.
3-2
for the Rangers.
So you're saying it's going to cost a little money to peel him out of the organization, is what you're saying?
Yeah.
Grant Patolny is working for a National Hockey League team.
Yeah, he stepped down from.
I knew that.
Yeah, he's the head coach of the Hartford
their
Wolfpack.
AHL team. Yeah.
Damn.
Yes.
Good. Well, what happened to the Hartford Whalers? They changed their name. Seriously, I mean.
Yeah, well, they haven't been. Yeah, they.
Oh, I know, but I mean, they used to be the Whalers.
Yeah, that is protected still by the ownership.
Okay, and Gordie Howe.
And Gordie Howe.
Yeah, God rest his soul.
And Marty Howe.
Now to the defectors.
Yes.
Gophers defections include, but may not be limited to, Ollie Moore, Snuggie.
Yep.
Renzel.
Yep.
Anybody else?
2 more.
Oh.
Matthew Wood and Ryan Chesley just signed this morning.
Jeez.
With the Washington Capitals.
Okay. Will have any of them played, or will they play soon?
Renzel played 20 minutes yesterday for the Chicago Blackhawks.
Damn.
Ollie played 9.
Wow.
And so good for them. Good for them.
I want to ask you about Oliver Moore, because I saw some people talking about it as soon as he signed. There was kind of this idea that A, he could use another year in maroon and gold, and that B, the Blackhawks have a history of bringing guys maybe sometimes earlier than they need to or should, and that can potentially hamper development. Any opinions on that with Ollie?
Yes, and I agree. I think it would have behooved him to play another year here because his game improved dramatically from his freshman year to his sophomore year. He still has things to learn on the offensive side of the puck. He's great defensively. I've never seen a guy every shift work like he does. But there's some facets of his offensive game that he can improve on at the college level. He opted not to do it, and that's his choice, right? And maybe the Blackhawks wanted him in, and they think that they can help him there.
The Big Ten was having some troubles out of the gate.
Oh, boy.
I mean, Ohio State got destroyed by BU.
Yeah, they let the game get away from them.
Your squad lost.
Yes.
Michigan State was a 1 in the region. Yeah. Got bounced.
Yeah.
Penn State.
Yes.
Old Penn State makes it to the Frozen Four in St. Louis. But, I mean, we've talked about it for months, man. The more things change, the more they stay the same. It's just the ways and means become rearranged. It doesn't matter if Denver is a 1 or a 4.
No.
Put Denver in the Frozen Four every single year, and put Denver in the championship game every single year, and maybe put Denver in the winner's circle every year, and lo and behold, here they are.
As their associate head coach, Tavis McMillan, texts me all the time, "Oh, we're just little old Denver, just plodding along."
Come on, man.
Yeah, and he's a great guy, and and they've got a great staff, and they do a great job. And they didn't get the goaltending during the year, but this guy that they have,
they don't care.
They don't.
It was the same thing with Sandlin when his squad was on top of the world.
Big at this guy, this Mike Davis is their goaltender.
Really,
he's given up his goals against average in the NCAA.
Yeah.
Is 1.
Wow. And he only gave that one up to help the other teams feel like it belongs.
And that's in 5 games. 1.
Oh, come on.
They don't care about the regular season. Sandlin didn't care about the first half of the regular season.
You do and you don't.
And then all of a sudden, February and March, Duluth would not lose and shut everybody out and win the national championship.
Yeah.
It's building that, better than us, man. It's building that crescendo.
Yep. No question.
All righty.
Is Western Michigan a shocker at all?
Very much so to me. Now, may not be to some other people, but I thought Minnesota State was the better team, and they ended up losing. Western's goaltender, and Alex Tracy, by the way, was fabulous for Minnesota State. Their goaltender came up with some big saves.
Yep.
Mankato hit a pipe. But they
Grant Stevenson.
They controlled the game for 2 periods out of the 3.
Yeah.
And then, 1 shot in overtime.
When Shane Joseph took the major.
You are really...
I knew they were in trouble.
That changed the game.
Unbelievable. How about Backus?
Unbelievable. How about Chad Lundeen? Seriously. Okay, 3-2.
Okay, yep.
So rooting against Denver as a Minnesota Wild fan makes sense, right? Because then Zeb Boyum's in the Covenant the next day.
Right. If we believe that he's going to be part of the lineup right away, yes. And,
I just want him in the Covenant. Healthy scratch is fine.
Yeah.
Gotta take it all in, kid.
He's got a little edge to his game, too.
He's looked pretty good.
Think?
Yeah. How about the salute? Did you see the salute?
No.
After he got the empty net goal to ice it versus BC, he went through the line like they do, at his bench. Skated by the BC bench and went.
Come on, man! So we have somebody who's cocky.
Oh, he's got a little edge.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, until he runs into the moose of some other team and at the half wall and gets crushed and knock the cocky out of him.
We have our moose to make sure that he's taken care of. But he is a fabulous player. Steal of the draft.
Our moose will be in action this evening against the Devils. And on that and some more, Pat Micheletti at PatMick2626 in the 651 Carpets Plus studios, chatting state of hockey on KFAN.
The Brat tapped along Luke Hughes, a shot tipped off a man, found the glass, and then they scored. It's the hat trick for Heischer, banking it off Gustafsson. Another hat trick by a visiting team in this building in the last couple of weeks. And the Devils have a 4-2 lead.
Radio Joe, that's Joe O, calling a loss against the New Jersey Devils Saturday.
Does a great job, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does. And I really like, this is going to sound weird, I really like how he calls opponent goals.
Yeah.
It's just ba, 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 ba. It's very clever.
Yep.
Kaprizov and Eriksson Ek are on this trip, taking part in full practices, but no confirmation they'll be playing this roadie. But that's good news, isn't it, the Tocchet?
It's great news. And, again, go back to our previous conversations in weeks past. We don't know everything,
right.
And Bill Guerin knows, and he's not going to share every minute detail but he did say he expects them back before the season ends. So I expect them to play in a couple of games before the playoffs start.
Russo Radio at Russo Hockey, preeminent. He tweeted 15 minutes ago, Gustafsson starts for the Wild.
Yep.
No lineup changes.
Yeah.
So it's pretty much what the Steam was this weekend. The big dogs are traveling with us. Yes, they are practicing in full team practices, which means that's the covenant right there. But we're not going to say whether they're going to play on this road trip, so it's not going to be tonight.
Yeah, and Kaprizov is going to see his surgeon in New York.
That's encouraging.
Where he had the surgery.
Yeah.
And probably,
have another one?
No, I would say probably.
Okay.
Yeah. You know what? Start pushing yourself.
Remember when traveling was difficult X amount of years ago and they couldn't get Kaprizov back from Russia?
Yes.
And they had to use Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum and one of his fastest equine athletes.
He was in Turkey or something.
No, United Arab.
Trunk of an old car.
Trunk of an old car, United Arab Emirates.
Right.
Then they went adjacent to the Jordan through Samaria. And I think eventually got home from Sicily. It was just crazy to get him back.
Well, I remember, and Lou Nanny, when he brought František Musil over from the Czech Republic when it was still
a cargo container.
And they had have Louis tell you the story some year or sometime.
František what?
František Musil.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Was he a game changer?
He was a good player. Wow. Really good player. And in his career in Edmonton, he is still a scout for the Edmonton Oilers.
Wow.
Have to factor in the shipping with that?
Right.
Yeah. If you ever run into Louis, let him tell you the story.
Did František smoke
no, he was
Camel Unfiltered with Kenny the Rat Linsman in Rome?
He was an Adonis. He could have been a linebacker. No.
The Devils lost at the Peg Friday night and rolled in here and beat us Saturday. All right? It bugs me. And here's why it bugs me.
Why?
And they have a winning record, and I know they're down Hughes, and I know they're down Dougie Hamilton, and I get it.
Yep.
It ain't like this team here ain't down anybody. I started adding it up yesterday. It just got too complicated. When teams play Winnipeg, and then they travel and play the next day, I swear they win 15%. They never win unless they're the Devils Saturday at the X, though.
That back-to-back and in the travel part, it's no big deal.
No, that's not the point. The big deal is playing Winnipeg.
Well,
you play Winnipeg, not only do they skate around you, they beat you up.
Yep.
And when you think you're on something, it's hellebuck. It's frustrating. I don't know what the reasoning is here. I mean, I'm not.
Well, they lost. They got beat pretty bad by Winnipeg, right?
3-0.
Yeah,
they got shut out.
And so, what do you think?
They look really good, right? Getting shut out, then they came here and won. That loss should bug people.
Well, how was John Hines after the game? We'll be better Monday.
Yeah,
we'll straighten it out.
Right.
Same thing goes on in the Devils locker room.
Yeah, but they have a day between. So I'm saying when you're playing late at the peg and you're getting somewhere at 3 in the morning, being beat up, skated around, and oh hellebuck, I'm telling you, look back at the past performances. Teams are losing the next day almost every single time, and we're in the spot up business.
We are.
So yeah, right. So therefore, we look for things like that.
Are you saying we're going to win tonight?
Yes. Yeah, the Wild. I'm not making it a stone cold lead pipe cinch lock. I'm telling you, in the NHL and the NBA,
there will not be an easy goal for New Jersey tonight. Mm-hmm. I will guarantee you that.
Right. Well, it's hockey. I mean, it's when they play when two teams play each other within the course of 5 to 7 days. I'm telling you, the opposite generally takes place the next game. So, yes, Wild win this evening to start the road trip.
Beauty of an 82-game season.
Right, and they're underdogs.
Yes.
My work is done. Yours has just begun.
Yes.
So, St. Louis has won 9 in a row. We have a game in hand, but who cares if you let winnable games slip through your fingers, right?
Right.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that.
And how about the Blues? I mean,
yeah, they're unbelievable.
Yeah, Jim Montgomery is fabulous.
Well, and they're like, shut up, Russo Radio.
Where did he coach?
Rutherford?
No.
Who?
Jim Montgomery.
Montgomery coached at, don't tell me, Arizona State before it was a Ponzi scheme.
No, the team that is in the Frozen Four that you rave about.
Denver.
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
Was he on Gwozdecki's bench?
No.
He was the head coach?
He was the head coach.
Did they win a championship with him?
In Chicago.
Wow. And now it's David Carl, right?
And they beat your Bulldogs that Scott Sandlin told me.
Damn.
That was out of the national championships that Scott won at UMD. Mm-hmm. The one he lost, that was his best team.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
I mean,
Justin Falk was a freshman.
I'm not going to narrowcast here with Denver Pioneers hockey, but how? From Zucker through the flying alphabet on the bench, through Falk and Boyum, how? I mean, it's just always.
Yeah.
How?
Great recruiting, and they
dispensaries pay high NIL.
They're not. I don't think so. Their philosophy is to fill a hole. If they lose one guy or two guys, what type of player was he?
Yeah.
And they try to emulate that type of player that they lost.
So David,
and they do it and they do a wonderful job of it.
Yeah. Do college coaches jump to the NHL often? Like I know Hackstall did. I think he went to the Flyers.
Not as much as he should because college is is loaded. Scott Sandlin,
Todd Richards.
Todd Richards didn't coach college.
That's right.
Okay.
Just played for the Gophers, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Scott Sandlin almost did and ended up not.
Troy Jutting turned down $6 million a year from the Atlanta Thrashers.
I did not know that.
I was just making it up.
Okay. But they might get another team, by the way.
Okay. Well, David Carl.
Yeah.
I might have gravy trained this from Beyond the Pond this weekend. But is he a candidate to become an NHL coach one day?
If he wanted a job today, he would get it.
Did you say that Saturday?
I may have. I can't recall.
Yeah, I think I can't remember
what happened yesterday. If he wanted a job at the end of last season, he could have gotten one. He has turned it down as of right now. He's pretty happy with where he's at. He's still pretty young. He's got a young family. And that is a different animal.
Yeah.
And he's got it pretty good right now.
Yep, it's a different animal that pays a lot of money.
And he wants to get with the right... You can get a job in the NHL and get fired tomorrow.
Yeah.
If you don't have the right organization to back you and support you and get you the players that you need and your style and all of that. Okay? But he will be an NHL head coach very soon.
Saturday with Bucket List Fallness.
Yes.
Did you...
Mick Tockett.
Did you predict Saturday on Beyond the Pond the Wild will play into June?
I said I hope they did.
You didn't say hope. No, it was at the end of the show, so nobody would go to the 64686. And
you homer!
You're like, I'll tell you something. They're going to be playing in June. I'm like, what? Why at the end of the show? I mean, we don't have time for Tuesday talkbacks.
Maybe I was just being optimistic because...
Yeah.
I'm done with college hockey now.
Right.
So
No, I'm talking about the Wild.
We're talking what? Yeah, I know.
Yeah, but
we're talking a lot of Wild shows and
and the money you just were cost by the no tripping call.
I have to recoup that.
Wow, that's awesome. Lastly,
yes,
Ovi getting his teammates to return from the tunnel.
You can't make it up. I mean, it's
after a loss to the Wild last Thursday. And you could see him yelling at players, "Hey,
get out here!"
Yeah,
yes.
And they all came back. Why? Because he's Ovi, and they wanted to pay homage to Marc-Andre Fleury. I mean, that was fantastic, and stuff like that, and the handshake line, man, it makes hockey the classiest of the 4-4.
And what's even
forever,
yeah. And another one, just to backtrack a little bit, he came in the same year as Sidney Crosby. They hated each other. They went at each other. And now the respect between those two.
Wow.
It's beautiful to watch.
Was that like you and Don Lucia? I'm just kidding.
He wasn't
well, that's
there.
That's why you're on the radio now and you weren't then? Oh. It was stupid. It was dumb. It was stupid. It was narrow, kid.
Well,
it doesn't make sense.
Another day.
All right.
Anyway.
Well, God bless you.
You too.
You and your family. And thank you for coming by. And
great to see you.
You too. Hope to see you next week.
And Masters next week.
Masters next week. Okay. Pat Micheletti, beloved Mick Tockett at Pat Mick 2626 into the final hour. Here comes Parker. P Fox Radio around the corner on KFAN.